Welcome to Inside ICA, the Indiana Christian Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Plew, and I'm grateful that you're joining us here today. Whether you're watching on YouTube or you are listening on your favorite podcast app, we're glad to have you here. Our goal is simple: to strengthen communication, share stories, and to celebrate what God is doing here at Indiana Christian Academy. We want this podcast to be a place where you feel connected as parents, students, and alumni, as well as friends of the school. We have a few upcoming announcements for you. So here's some upcoming events that will be taking place over the next several weeks. First of all, we have our first home games this coming Tuesday on November the 11th. The games begin at 5 o'clock. It will be against I-Town. That will be for our middle school or junior high boys, and then our JV boys, and then our varsity girls. Actually, let's switch the order. It's junior high boys, varsity girls, and then JV boys will be in that order. So I'd love to have you come out. Our students do get in free to the ball games. Come on out and support our teams on this first home game. I'm sure the concession stand will be in full swing, and you can enjoy some pulled pork and things at the Whirlwind Cafe. Don't forget, we do have the Whirlwind Cafe on our discount cards this year. And let me stop a moment and say thank you for all your help with the discount cards. We brought in, I'll say it that way, a little over $47,000 for that. That was the best one we've done yet. So thank you so much for your help. We have a few things we've got to pay out from that, but it was a great fundraiser for the Science Lab. So thank you all for your help with that. The next event is also on the 11th, and that is our Veterans Day Chapel at 9 a.m. And that will be a great time for us to have a chapel with our veterans. We have a free gift for them as they come. So we're looking forward to that. If you haven't had a chance to sign up through that Google form that we sent out, please do so that we can know that you're coming and be able to anticipate your arrival. And then we have our fourth grade field trip to the Levi Coffin House, and that will be on the 19th there, the Wednesday the 19th. This is a great field trip. Our students study Indiana history, and so this is building upon that here for their class. And then on the 21st, we have a virtual day that is on the calendar there, so just wanted you to be aware of that. And then our final upcoming event is our second grade field trip, and they're headed to the Magic Tree House Space Mission on the 24th of November, and so that'll be an exciting field trip for them as they head out there. Well, I have with me today Titus Houston. He's from Maranatha Baptist University, and he's from lives in Minnesota. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and so glad to have him here. He was in chapel with us this morning, and then we wanted to have a moment of conversation with him just to kind of fill you in as parents and students about Maranatha Baptist University. Maranatha used to be called Maranatha Baptist Bible College. Started way back in 1968, and so they've been around for 57 years. We're glad to have Maranatha here, and we've had a lot of teachers over the years that went to Maranatha and graduated from there. We've got a few who are currently on staff here that are from Maranatha, so we're glad to have you here with us. So if you don't mind, Titus, tell us a little bit about Maranatha.
Okay. Well, we're going to be a smaller campus to start out with, about 400 students on campus. So already you're going to be distinguishing yourself from a lot of other universities. A lot of universities usually have about thousands. So already you have a family atmosphere, yet it's big enough to where you actually feel like you're at college, but not enough to be overwhelmed by all of the different people there as well.
And I'm assuming a strong family atmosphere because of the smaller class sizes and those types of things.
Yes, very much so. Everybody kind of knows everybody, and there's different things like our small groups where everybody's randomly divided and then put into Bible study groups. It's our Wednesday chapel. Everybody is randomly divided so that you get to know everybody on campus, at least have a general idea. So you build those connections with the entire university, not just your team or your class or your dorm. You kind of know everybody, which is really cool.
Yeah. Now, my understanding is Maranatha is accredited. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So accreditation where an outside company comes in and basically gives you guys or a school, any school really, whether it's a high school, college, a grade, to see how high their level of education is. Maranatha is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, which has offered us institutional accreditation. It used to be known as regional. Now they have labeled it as institutional. And this would be the highest level of accreditation that you can find across the nation. Universities like state universities like University of Michigan, University of Iowa, Ohio State, stuff like that, all have the same level of accreditation as Maranatha. So our degrees can be taken and used anywhere because they have the same backing as those other universities.
Gotcha. Good. Awesome. So what are some things that your graduates have accomplished?
Well, one of the most notable things for me as a sports enthusiast would be Coach Nate Oates, current head coach of the men's basketball team at Alabama University of Alabama. That would be probably one of our more notable alumni. But even a lot of our graduates, for example, we had a really big boom in the 90s of pastors who went out. And as I'm going to different Christian schools, I see people just involved in ministry all over the place. And they all remember all the connections they made and all the tools they learned while at Maranatha. It's so cool to see so many of them in ministry. And as I bounce around the United States, to see them all plugged in and serving, and just to be able to be connected, not only through their faith, but also the college that they went to back in the day.
That's awesome. And Pastor Stevens is Alabama Crimson Tide fan, and he was a Roll Tide right now. So anyway, so what do you consider the heartbeat of Maranatha?
Well, our motto is developing leaders for ministry in the local church and around the world to the praise of his glory. And of course, this goes far beyond just training ministerial leaders like pastors or missionaries. We want each of our students to not only come out with the best possible education, but also to come out and closer in their walk with the Lord. And we've done that not only in training them to know what they believe in the classroom, but also to live it out in their local church every single Wednesday and Sunday as well, to be able to live out their faith, because faith without works is dead. You need to be able to live it out and to be able to minister for the cause of Christ to help you in your walk with the Lord as well. And I think that is the heartbeat, to grow you in a Christian walk with the Lord while getting a phenomenal education at the same time.
That's awesome. Good. And so maybe one final question for our parents. Why should their students consider attending Maranatha Baptist University?
Sure. I think students should consider attending Maranatha because it is a great place, not only that has a really phenomenal reputation for producing solid graduates in the workplace and in the ministry, but also it's a place where students have grown in their walk with the Lord. And even though I know sometimes the initial price tag looks a little daunting, the students who are able to come and just to see how God provides in just miraculous ways grows them in their walk with the Lord as well. And there's so many amazing aspects of what makes Maranatha special, both as a family, with the balanced perspective we have. So when your student comes out, he knows or she knows what they believe, and are able to go into this world as an effective minister of Christ.
That's awesome. And you were saying in chapel that about half of your students, or I'm sorry, most of your students get somewhere between around $15,000 maybe off of their tuition
the average,
with scholarships?
Average Maranatha student receives $17,000 in financial aid last year,
all right.
Which is over 63% of their need, which is a really cool statistic.
Yeah, so $17,000 in financial aid. That's pretty remarkable, and that those things like that make college affordable. So
absolutely, and there's so much out there that most people don't even realize is out there. But if you're willing to do the homework, find these resources online, scholarships and whatnot, students are able to maximize their potential and are able to really bring that cost really far down as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tyler, for being here and representing Maranatha to us. And I'm sure our students benefited from you being here, and hopefully parents are getting a glimpse of what Maranatha is like.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, I've asked Mrs. Plew to join me here to discuss the topic of the importance of Christian education. And obviously, we believe that it's important, but oftentimes we don't think about it. You have students who are already here at Indiana Christian Academy. maybe you've not thought about it either. And so we want to talk about it a little bit. Why Christian education? Why is it important, or is it just something to do? So as we kick it off here, welcome, Mrs. Blue.
Thank you.
So we want to talk about building. Number one, building a biblical worldview. What is a biblical worldview to you?
I would say, worldview, to break it down, not to be too obvious, but it's the way we view the world, and the way we view the world matters. Just like glasses will, sunglasses will, give a certain tint, and even regular tinting on glasses will change the way you see things. Our worldview really changes the way we see things. So if we look at things from a biblical worldview, we're looking at things, understanding that this is God's world, this is our Father's world, and that He has His hand in everything that happens. And so we want to make sure that even our education is delivered and lived before the students from a right worldview.
And that's, we try to incorporate that worldview, biblical worldview, into every subject. So it's not just in a Bible class, but
Correct.
It's in English and
Mm-hmm.
science and math, history, literature, showing really that God's truth applies to every aspect of our lives. And so I think this foundation of the biblical worldview helps us to think critically, to discern right from wrong, truth from error,
Yes.
and to live faithfully in this world, in a world that often rejects God's standards and his beliefs. Another thought here about a biblical, having a Christian education, and that's providing, a Christian education provides positive Christian influences and limits the negative influences. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
So, as parents, we want the best for our children, and so we seek to limit negative influences in their lives. And it's very much the same, here at ICA. We want to make sure that we are, in a sense, limiting the worldly influences and the negative influences that could creep in. And we want to make sure that we are giving a right foundation with our education, along with how you as parents want to raise your children.
And this speaks to our Christian atmosphere here that we have at the school, trying to deliberately, intentionally have Christian influences, as well as an environment in which they can thrive.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. We want them to grow strong in their faith while learning how to live as light in a dark world. And so that's really important here. As a school, we want to promote holiness and moral clarity while we shield students from harmful ideologies and things that would pose as truth out there.
Right. We want this to be a safe environment. Of course, we want them to learn math and history and science and English, but to do so in a place where other character traits are modeled for them: integrity, humility, obedience, submission, respect. All of those things are important. And so it's really a very whole way of looking at educating a child.
Good. One of the other things I think is important here is that as a school, we want to be able to partner with parents. There's a lot of education out there that doesn't want to partner with parents.
Yes.
You want to speak to our partnership with parents?
Well, we are both educators. He's the administrator and I'm an assistant, but we've also both taught in the classroom, and we're also both parents. We have 4 children of our own. And the partnership that we've had with our own children's teachers has been invaluable to us, because we realize that other people have invested of their time and their resources, their wisdom, into our children. And there's just something very special about knowing you're partnering with someone. And we like to look at it here at ICA that we are on your team with your child, that you as the parents and we as administration and whoever your child's teacher may be, we are all together on that child's team because we want the best for them.
Right, and it's a blessing to work with folks as teachers who um, are intentional Christians, so that they're not. It's not that they're occasional Christians, but they're intentional. Now, flawed. All of us are
Yes.
flawed, but we definitely
I wish I
see
wasn't.
right. But we definitely want to have that environment where teachers are partnering with parents, and so that's why you'll get phone calls from teachers, emails from teachers, emails from administration, helping you, informing you, keeping you in the loop on what's going on with your child's development. So we want to nurture each child toward godly maturity. Another reason why we might want to have a Christian education, the importance of Christian education, is because we believe in teaching traditional Christian values. And so, Mrs. Plue, you want to talk about the traditional Christian values and why those are important to have here at a Christian school?
Well, in our society, you don't have to look very far to see that there's a lot of ambiguity. People, talk about having their truth, living, you live your truth, you do what you think is right. But that can get very ambiguous because, what I think is right could collide with what you think is right. And then where do we stand with that? And so teaching virtues like honesty, not cheating in school, it has further consequences and further, meaning than just staying out of trouble at school. It sets them up to succeed in life, not cheating when they're in a job setting, a professional setting, and, compassion, being kind to their friends, getting along with friends who may be difficult to get along with, that translates into being able to work well with others once they're out of school. And, not just because the Bible says so, although that is enough in itself to be kind, there are other lifelong positive consequences that come from having these godly character traits.
Yeah. As a school, teaching those traditional Christian values, we teach that all life is important. We teach that the family is important, and how that we relate to God in our family, and then the fact that there is morality that is being taught here. I think those are key components to why we exist as a Christian school. We have truths rooted in biblical truth, not cultural trends. So the Christian school is designed to prepare students to live with conviction, with grace, to be ready to stand for the truth in a world that really desperately needs that truth.
They can be set apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more here. Academic excellence with eternal purpose. Mrs. Plue, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, the Bible tells us that whatsoever we do, we should do all to the glory of God. And learning is part of that. Part of our mission, as you went over last week, is to challenge students academically. And, even students learning that is their job. Their job right now is a student. And so we want them to learn and be successful. And we want them to see that is a way actually that they can worship the Creator by being a good learner, and Colossians 3:23 challenges us that we should do everything to the best of our ability and for His glory. So, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, whether it's art class, or, singing in choir, we want students to be well-rounded. We want them to do the best they can in every aspect for God's glory, and to also nurture and mature their gifts so that they can be students and adults who, one, honor and love the Lord and serve Him, but also can serve others with those talents.
Good. Next, shaping hearts and lives for eternity. As we think about the purpose of Christian education and the importance of it, one of the values of having your child in a Christian school is that they have a focus that's not just temporal, not just here on this earth, but that we want to give them an eternal focus. Talk about that a second.
Well, we know that as Christians that we have a home in heaven waiting for us, and there is the eternal, and we should always live with the eternal in mind. But also, the immediate right now is that they're students.
Right.
The future is that they're going to hopefully be a professional in some setting someday using the gifts they've had. But how much greater even to use those gifts to make an eternal impact on the lives of those they touch.
Right.
Whatever job setting they may find themselves in, they hopefully will be able to have a positive impact, even a gospel impact on those that they come across.
Yeah, a lot of times students go to high school, finish high school for the purpose of a job.
Mm-hmm.
And we want them to think beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to
Right.
focus on not just a job, but an opportunity to minister, an opportunity to make an impact wherever they are.
Absolutely.
For the cause of Christ.
Yes.
And so we want them to do that. We use biblical instruction. We use chapel. We use service opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual mentoring, things that can help them develop and grow in their Christian life. And we don't want to just prepare them for college, although we try to do that.
Right.
And I think we do a good job of that. But we want to prepare them for a lifetime of faithfulness and eternal significance.
Right, because it's beyond academics. There could be a lot of smart, gifted, talented people who, won't go across the street and pick up trash,
Right.
But, teaching our students this year, our juniors and seniors had that opportunity to serve right here, right across the street and pick up trash in the woods. And it's service. It's making the community around you a better place too.
So we want our students to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
As we think about the importance of Christian education, we see a foundation that's
Mm-hmm.
built on the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
We see godly influences that help shape their character, and that's important.
Mm-hmm.
We want to protect them from the harmful ideologies that are
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
We want to be able to be transparent with parents. It's hard to say, but that partnership with parents that helps us connect with them and collectively as a team, as you mentioned, help them grow. And then finally, that academic and spiritual success that ultimately glorifies God.
Yes.
as they develop.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I think we've covered it pretty well. I do think, that, of course, I know we're in the business of Christian education. We sit here because, this school has meant a lot to us. We both graduated from this school,
Mm-hmm.
and so it has had an eternal impact. We could sit here and name so many teachers and instructors and coaches that we've had here that have made a true difference in our lives, a true lasting biblical and gospel influence, and even a professional one that we now sit here doing what those before us have done. But it is important that you as parents know what your children are being taught, the worldview from which it's being taught, and the type of environment that your children are in. And so we truly do love what we do here at Indiana Christian Academy. We love these students, and we imperfectly strive to do the very best we can to give both a God-centered and challenging education and love the students and help them grow while they're learning.
That's right. Christian education is not an alternative just to public education.
Right.
It's really an investment in eternity for these students. And so I hope that you'll think about that. It's something that we've thought about here as we've kind of gone through just what to speak about for this podcast. But I think it's something essential and important for us, and I hope you'll take it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Our word for the week is honesty. Honesty is the word of the week. It's brought to you by Avery Bannon. I told her I would tease her with this. She was honest about not taking too many pieces of candy in this last week's word of the week, and so I told her she would be in the podcast this week. So there you go, Avery. But no, we have honesty as the word of the week. Honesty means to speak truthfully. It means live sincerely and then be real about who we are, both before God and before other people. And so I trust that you'll be honest. Sometimes we use the word integrity with that, synonymous with that. And so we want all of us to be people of honesty and integrity. We hope this podcast has been beneficial to you. If you have any suggestions as we continue to do this, we want to hear your suggestions. And so you can send them to kevin.plew@indianachristianacademy.org. And note that it's about the podcast. That'll help me be able to find that and be able to see the information there. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and share this with someone who's connected to ICA. So thank you for being a part of the ICA community. And as we often say here, let's keep loving students while challenging them academically in a Christian environment. Until next time, as our school theme says, keep being real and living for Jesus. Goodbye.